This call is being recorded. If you do not wish to be recorded, please disconnect at this time.
What's
So
today?
let me.
What's today's date?
20.
The 20th. It's the 20th. It's the day before the world's ending.
20.
We better make this good, huh?
Where are you going?
Getting saying that. Cool. So you're busy half an hour. I go deposit that, and then I come back to school.
Okay, that works perfect. Gives me right
the organic. Bonnie actually called me. I'll call her earlier to the show.
Okay, so the Costa Rican, because I wanted to give it to Gabrielle.
This is for her birthday. For Bonnie.
Oh, okay. I got it. Okay. Very fabulous.
Pretty much you're going to see them before me, so.
Okay.
And then we have.
All right, let me do this, and then when you come back, I'll talk to you.
Come back in half an hour.
All right, I'm sorry. It's just my friend is dropping off all my coffee and tea and everything. So, all right. I got this note that said that you have another website that you wanted me to talk about other than the one because your one wasn't ready.
Yeah, I transferred to another service, but they're holding it, and they said it'd be 72 hours, and that was several days ago. So anyway, long story short, I have a site called eBook Life Coach.
eBook Life Coach. Let me just write that down so I can look down and see it. Now, let me just say, do you know when the site's going to be live? Because this is not going to be, it's probably going to be like about 2 weeks before I post it.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Both the addresses?
Well, the thing, they'll be linked to each other, so for sure there's no problem with eBook Life Coach, so that's why my classes are Raise Your Chalice, but just to be on the safe side, I mean, I hope it'll be up, but I didn't anticipate that there'd be a problem. So
that's the way life always is.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me just take a quick peek at. So we're going to talk about body terrorism.
Yeah.
Okay. What is your are you a PhD doctor?
Yeah, my background is in education, and I specialize in mathematics, actually. So I did, so I did some statistically significant research, and at the same time, I was trying to figure out why the heck my relationship wasn't moving along. I was,
don't wait, do that on the interview. No, you need to be good. To get it first time around when it's organic. And so hold on one second, get recording, and then we can talk about how you got from one place to the next, because those are always interesting stories. Okay, so are you ready?
I am.
Do you hear me fine?
I do, yeah.
Oh, okay.
This conference is being recorded.
This is Dr. Veronica, and welcome to another time with me on Wellness for the Real World. This is really a real world episode. I have a young lady on who we're going to talk about body terrorism with her. You're saying, well, what is body terrorism? You're going to hear that in a second. You're going to hear her story, and we're going to talk about our bodies. And like most women, I have issues with my body, okay? And let me just tell you about my issues with my body from when I was young, and most women can do this. Now, I'm going to start by telling you the good part about my body, okay? One time, I was in the locker room as a physician going to change my clothes or back or forth, either going in to do a surgery or coming out from a surgery. We have to wear scrubs in the locker room. You guys know what those ugly blue and green things look like. And I was in the locker room across from the operating room, and it's mostly that used to change in there. Some of the doctors changed there, but mostly nurses and people like that were changing there just because of where it was and how they had assigned the locker. So I had a locker there. And once I was changing my clothes, and this woman just said to me, "Oh, my God, you have such a beautiful body." Now, I will tell you that I am over 40, and this was when I was over 40, that this young girl who, and when I say young, probably maybe, 10 years younger than me, 25, 30, was telling me that I had a beautiful body. Now, I always looked at my body and thought my hips are too big, my thighs are too big, my butt is too big, I'm too short, there's a little cellulite here, I don't like the way my feet are shaped. I can tell you every flaw on my body. And a lot of women are like that. And although I tell you about it now, I've become to love my body a whole lot because I have something that many other people don't have, and that is what I will call perfect health. So no matter what my body looks like on the outside, I've come to accept it and love it because I'm well, and that is a beautiful thing. And so, however, I also look out there and see what is on the front of magazines, all of them airbrushed and lengthened and skinnied and all this other type of stuff. In addition, I am a woman who, I told you, I'm over 40, I'm moving on in years. And for women, we tend to, let's just say the way our culture is, especially the Western culture, disappear at a certain point because we're not considered prime. Now, you guys know I've done shows about being a boy toy babe or a cougar or things like that, and I've sort of realized that what the media is trying to portray to us isn't quite true, and in fact is an out-and-out lie. And so body terrorism is one of those concepts that I feel like from young, when I used to look at other people at the pool and then I'd look down at my thigh and then I'd look, and it was there from young. But the terrorism was going on in my mind, but it was reinforced by what was going on out there in the world. And so I'm going to introduce to you Dr. Felicia Clark. She is a PhD doctor that has a very high-minded background. You're going to hear about this. You're going to say, oh, my God, I'm so impressed. Okay. She's a body acceptance life coach and the leading scholar on body terrorism. And she coaches people into loving their bodies and tells us what happens when you start connecting with your feminine power and essence, and how to get rid of those negative, destructive messages that we all see out there. Dr. Felicia Clark, welcome to Wellness for the Real World.
Thank you so much, Dr. Veronica. I'm so excited and grateful that you have me on your show. I love listening to your show, and I'm honored to be a guest today.
Well, thank you. So now, first, we have to talk about your background, because I was asking you, and before the show, I said, what type of doctor are you? And you started saying, I said, wait. When you told me a few sentences, I was like, wait, we got to talk about this on the show. Tell me about your background. Now, let me just mention, this lady is a professional plus-size model, And so for people to get out that are more voluptuous and model, it's just, I have a friend who does fashion. He's a designer. And she said, he will say to you, that's not fashion. Plus size, are you kidding me? That's not fashion. You're gonna tell us how it is fashion in a moment, but go to your background. You were saying your background is in mathematics. Tell us about that.
I am an expert on mathematics anxiety reduction, and I have statistically significant research. So I spoke at several conferences and received awards in that profession, and my professional achievements were in that area. And while I'm doing this research, I had a relationship that was very healthy. I was very happy. I thought he was. And I'm like, why are things not moving along into marriage? He said he wanted to get married. I wanted to get married. We were engaged. But he was really kind of dragging his feet, and he freaked out and had a mini panic attack when we went to get the rings. And I was like, what is going on? He just seemed so much more comfortable having a dysfunctional relationship, and that a healthy, just simple, stable relationship it freaked him out to have that. And so I just started taking classes and learning, what's going on with that. And that led me to the math and science of healthy relationships. And people think that you can't plan for certain things, and that's true. You don't know what life curves will be thrown at you. But there is a basic science to being happy and certain action steps that lead more likely to a good outcome versus a bad outcome. And we've been trained in our society to do everything that leads to the bad outcome. So that's how I got interested in relationships. And for women specifically, this bad relationship with our bodies is very significant in what makes many relationships fail, because part of what men want in a woman is to enjoy and experience her body. And specifically when he has a wife, the whole physical relationship is an important component to the relationship. And if women think that their bodies are messed up or inadequate or flawed, then that part of the relationship will suffer.
So let's just talk a little bit about that relationship that you thought was progressing to marriage and see what we can learn from that. I'm assuming from the way you're describing it, it did not progress to marriage. Why do you believe?
Well, it can only be conjecture, but what he thought is that if I loved him, we could just stay boyfriend and girlfriend and move in together and get a house, and no. I wasn't interested in that. Some women are, and I'm not judging that. I understand it, but that was not okay with me. I told him I didn't really want to be boyfriend and girlfriend long term. I don't see him as a husband anymore if you're interested in being my boyfriend. And so anyway, bottom line, he just had some unresolved fears from a previous divorce, and your faith has to be greater than your fear if a marriage is going to work out. So, that was a while ago, and I wish him the best, and I hope he's happy. But that was a catalyst for me to start learning what's going on with people. Just, people always say relationships have to be hard, and it's like you're making it hard. You're doing the things that make it hard on purpose. There may be hard times, but you don't have to manufacture them, So anyway, that's what got me interested in, having healthy relationships myself. And because I am a coach, I was able to help other people do the same. And marriage isn't necessarily a reflection of a happy relationship. In fact, I work with some women to get rid of that compulsion to marry just for the sake of marriage. I mean, you're going to be divorced if you're just getting married for the title. Some women and men don't really want to be married, but there's this cultural compulsion to do so, and that could be impeding your happiness.
Let me just ask a question. There's a lot of popularity. We have a comedian that's out there who is on his third marriage and really has a studied relationship, but is the ad hoc go-to relationship person. I'm talking about Steve Harvey. Now, I think Steve Harvey is incredibly talented and entertaining. But when I listen to the fundamentals of some of the relationship advice he's given, I think that could possibly be some problems in it.
Yeah.
So, the most popular part of it is this 90-day rule.
Yeah.
What do you think of the 90-day rule? I have background in psychology. And my personal is that I've seen relationships go all types of ways. It depends on the maturity and the motives of both people in the relationship. You can't say when it's right or wrong for anyone to have an intimate relationship, but you must be really cognizant of yourself to determine what is the right time to become intimate. And so I think the 90-day rule is stupid because it's just applied to everybody. And then it also sets up where you start to use sex over somebody's head. You start to use it as the carrot, as the cookie, and you are using it as a weapon. And so this is why I believe that you can't use a particular rule, because you're setting up the most intimate part of your life to be a reward or punishment. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. First, I want to say that I do commend Steve Harvey for just raising issues that are very important, and I do think a lot of women were helped by some of the topics that he's brought up. And even if maybe there are some issues that people take issues with, and the 90-day rule being one of them, at least it got the dialogue going. So I do appreciate that. But I agree with you that there's no arbitrary time. What you want to wait for as a woman is for certain behaviors to show up. You want to wait for your standards to be met. Every woman should have standards for inviting a man to their body, and it's not about he earned it and you're going to pay up, with your body. It's more, do you feel that connection? And also, sometimes women do want relationships where she is just trying to experience the man's body, but you can still have standards for that. What is good about the 90-day rule is it is a very effective screening tool to weed out men that are just only interested in sex. Chances are he's not going to stick around that long if that's all he wants. However, some men are very, very attracted to a woman and is only interested in sex and will stick around that long just to have sex and still be gone. So you want to make sure that you've triggered his provider-protector instinct. That's what motivates and inspires a man to treat you well. If you're just having sex, all you have triggered is his procreative instinct, and that's what women get frustrated with. I had sex with him and he left. Well, because he had sexual attraction to you. So you just need to learn to distinguish between sexual attraction and the type of caring that a man exhibits when you have triggered his provider-protector instinct and also his procreative instinct. And so he may still want sex, but he also wants to share in your life and be there and basically be your man. So Steve Harvey's book actually does talk a little bit about that. Like, for example, he used an example that if a man approaches you and says something like, nice butt, or I'm paraphrasing, but if that's what he says to you and you say, oh, thank you, well, then he knows he'll have success coming at you from a sexual point of view. If you ignore it and only – I'm sorry, go ahead.
Some women put out that vibe. They say, well, I always get guys that are after me for sex. It's because you put out that vibe. Because generally, you're an attractive woman. I'm sure you have guys that come on to you. I have guys that come on to me. But nice butt is never – now, I got a nice butt. But that is never how a man has approached me. He's never walked up to me and said, nice butt. Because my whole vibe says that you can't do that. So yeah. I believe a lot of times what women do is they put out that sexual vibe, and then they have sex with the man, and then they try to make good sex into a relationship when the guy's intent was never that. And you were luring him and putting out the vibe that that's how you were. And so then you wonder how come that sex didn't go into a relationship?
Yeah. I teach classes called The Art of Feminine Presence, and what we teach women to do is be aware of their energetic body. What energy are you putting out, and is it the true energy of what you want to attract back to you? And even in knowing that, sometimes I don't always put out the right vibe, but most of the time I do, and I do get approached in the way that I would like. But one thing we teach in class is how to heal the heart-yoni split. And what that is essentially throughout history you learn to get a man through love or get a man with your body because men had this idea that women are either used for procreation and that's who you marry, or women are used for sex and that's who you don't marry. A woman is actually a whole woman and she's capable of all those things, but patriarchy decided to kind of split us in half, and then our culture responded to that, and so some women are very waist down. They learn to get men's attention through their sexuality, and they're not necessarily aware of it. They don't realize they're triggering his procreative instinct or his desire to have sex. It's just the habits that they've been taught, that this is, every woman wants male attention, and we learn how to get it in different ways. And if you're more inclined to be waist down, or if that's your background, that's what you've been taught, then that's how you know to get men's attention. And even though you may want caretaking, you don't know how to get it. And so those are some of the things that we teach in class, to be aware of your energetic body. And the other thing that happens is sometimes women who are waist up or very heart-centered would like to, have more of a physical relationship with a man, and they're not comfortable expressing that energy either. So we work on unifying the heart-yoni split so you can be both or either in appropriate situations based on what your needs are as a woman.
All right, I get that. Wow. Okay, so, let's talk about more about our bodies. Now, you are a plus-size model, and I know there's a lot of women out there who would say, woo, I'd love to be a plus-size model. But let's talk about one aspect for me as a physician that gets really concerning, especially in the African-American community, especially. We know that people who are overweight tend towards more diseases, cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure, just a risk factor for every single chronic disease is excess weight and obesity. Now, that's not a brush that paints every single person with it. I'm not saying that it's a brush, but we know that that is one of the risk factors. So how do we teach people to be comfortable with their body, yet promote physical wellness? How do we promote emotional wellness and feeling good about our body and physical wellness at the same time? Because disease is epidemic in the African-American community, which is 80% overweight. How do we put both of these, how do we reconcile this?
That's one of the reasons why I'm so glad you invited me to your show, because you're someone that is serious about having health and balance. But what we get in the media actually is not. A obese person has risk factors, and so do anorexic people who are portrayed in the media as healthy, and they are not. And so we've really blurred the lines between health and obesity, really to sell diet products, not really to get people healthy. And so I agree with you that there are a lot of risk factors that show up in obesity, but that's because there's a correlation between obesity and sedentary behavior. But just because you're a large person does not mean you're sedentary. There's also correlations between eating bad food and some of the diseases. And you aren't necessarily thin just because you have a good diet. I sent you, my photos, and I mean, I'm a vegetarian, but I still am that size. So I take care of my body. I'm also 44 years old, and my body is toned, and I exercise. I do yoga. I walk. I do lots of things, but I've just never been skinny. And I come from a family where my baby sister is my same height and very skinny. She's always been thin. That's how it is. And I agree with you that there are certain risk factors, but you don't necessarily get rid of all of those risk factors automatically just by weighing less when certain, through dietary or surgical changes, when you haven't changed other things in your life and in your body. And so I do encourage exercise. I also encourage exercise that you love and exercise that enhances your feminine energy. Much of the exercise that we're sold is actually raising our testosterone levels as women, and we don't enjoy it, and rightfully so, because we should be in our feminine essence, not producing more testosterone. And so some fun exercises that are healthy and that women enjoy are rebounding. That's jumping on a mini trampoline, or you can jump on a big trampoline. That tends to be fun, and it can really transform your health. Belly dance, it exercises your internal organs and also activates your feminine energy, and you get a workout doing it. So there are lots of exercises that are resonant with female energy, that are fun and exciting, that I think women would enjoy, and it would actually promote health. The other thing I want to say to what you're saying, or respond to your question about how do we blur, or how do we not blur the lines between making what could be unattractive pretty or attractive, and or what could be unhealthy. How can we not make that attractive? And so what I would also point out is that ever since we've been attacking bodies with this body terrorism, America is fatter. So the idea America's gained lots of weight since we went on this whole diet culture, cut calories, drink diet soda, all of these dietary products are chemicals, and our body doesn't know what to do with them. So it may drop pounds, but it's increasing our toxic load and creating other health problems, and that's why people tend to gain the weight back.
I love it. Yes, just because you're thin does not mean you're healthy. And I have seen thin people have heart attacks and strokes, and never believed that they were at risk or anything because they were taught that, well, you're thin, so therefore there's no problem. And yet they're very, very unhealthy. They have a lot of visceral fat. The visceral fat is the fat that's on the inside around the organs. The fat that's on the outside is not as unhealthy as the fat that's actually on the inside. So there are a lot of fat, thin people. We just can't see it. Talk a little bit about learning to feel good about yourself, although you're larger, and also standing next to, like you said, my baby sister was thin. And so she was probably considered, I don't know this in the family with definitiveness, but she was the cute, pretty one, and you were the one that just, oh, well, if she loses some weight, she'd be cute. But was it like that for you growing up?
No, actually, and it's interesting that you say that. And one of the reasons why I'm writing my book, In Body Terrorism, One Size Never Fit All, is because my sister was thin, but then she had issues that, her breasts weren't as large as our breasts. We got lots of attention from being myself and my older sister, we're filled out in a way that, I did get positive feedback from men growing up. I didn't get, you're too fat. I have an hourglass figure, just large. And then my father also liked full-figured women, so I didn't get that, you're too fat thing from my family, or that you're unattractive because of your weight. My mother, my father, my grandmother, they were very, very protective of, you do not let people make you feel bad about how you look or how you are. You have one life, you have one body for a lifetime. You respect it and you honor it, and you make sure others do too. So I didn't feel attacked by that. That came from society. And interestingly, for a lot of men actually are attracted to large women, even though you don't see that in the media. Men that are kind of, I guess you would call them A-listers, if you would. I get asked out by men like that. So what they say is they like women with confidence, and a lot of large women won't wear designer clothes and the whole jewelry and hair and thing, and I enjoy doing that, sometimes, not every day, but if they like full-figured women, they're fine with it.
Dr. Fifi is cute. This is a cute
Well, thank you.
She's very cute, but what's really cute about her is her personality. And I can see why anybody would want to talk to her, because she exudes confidence and warmth. And that is what I believe a lot of men find attractive, that you get a lot of the, let's call it excuse me everybody, but the skinny bitch. And I actually met, at the same time, we were at a big event. We were at the National Publicity Summit, which is where I met her. And there were some people that came up to me who were talking to me who were skinny bitches. And I was just like, well, tell me what else you have to offer. And they were skinny bitches. And I was just like, I don't care if you've ever told how to have a flat belly. You're a skinny bitch. Okay. Dr. B, that. Okay. And it was like, I'm going to listen to her before any day I'm going to listen to Skinny Bitch, because Skinny Bitch doesn't have the right attitude. And so you're going to go a long way. You already have gone a long way. We must figure out how to get people more active. And I think one of the crux of what you're saying being true is no matter what size you are, being physically active decreases your risk of everything. Exercise is good for every ill that there is. And so what the challenge is, find the exercise that is right for you. Okay, so I like to go out and running and spinning and all that. Well, if you're a little bit larger, that might not be the best choice for you. But there are exercises that you can do. I for a while I was doing tango dancing, and that was a blast. There are all types of ways to move your body that you can enjoy. And even if you're not losing weight, if your weight is not going down, you will get more tone and you will release certain types of hormones and you will be healthier. Now, we all want to look in the mirror and look a certain way. However, God made us all different. That's just the way it is. So, Dr. Fifi, if you had, when you get people who are coming in, who are feeling just really bad about their body, where do you start? What is the first thing that you say or do to get them feeling better about themselves?
Well, when women come into my coaching program, I give them obviously coaching sessions, but I give them homework. And homework number one is you are to stare into the mirror every day naked until you see a woman. And I've had women say they cry, they can't look at themselves, and I just see that as tragic. You have to stop seeing yourself as a sex object and know that you're an expression of divinity, and you always were. And as you said before, confidence is attractive. That is the number one attractive feature in a woman, and it comes from our womb energy, actually. So in my class, I teach how you activate your womb energy, and your womb energy is a life force, and life is attracted to life. Men want life from a woman, life in you, in your spirit, and your body can produce life in terms of a child. Men are drawn to that. Think of a pregnant woman, how people just go up and touch her. There are all these strangers, and it's just like they feel like they can touch her and ask her questions, and there's just this immediate connection because people are drawn to life. Well, our womb is a life force, and when we keep that womb force active, our life force is attractive, and so every woman is attractive. Every woman has that. What we don't have necessarily is the physical outward look that our society says is status, and if you're trying to be attractive based on status for the sake of status, then you're going to always never feel enough. There's always going to be someone prettier, someone new, someone different, someone that threatens your status, because that's what status is, that's what status does. But your feminine essence is timeless, and it will be beautiful forever, and is beautiful to the people who love you and need that life force active in you. And when you hate your body, you shut down that force. And everyone suffers. You suffer, but you don't see that, the people you love need you to be alive. They need your life force. That's one of the reasons why they're with you, that they're your lover, your husband, your friend, the community people that you engage with. They like the feminine energy life force, and women just sort of kill it off and go in neutral, shut down, or they go in masculine mode because of this body disconnect.
Yes. Well, I would like to tell everybody, go to ebooklifecoach.com, ebooklifecoach.com. That's where you can get some information about the services that Dr. Fifi has for you. We must feel good about ourselves. What you're looking like on the outside, guess what? That's not where your spirit. However, we also, if you listen to Dr. Fifi, she's saying, take care of your body. Go out there, move, exercise, and look beautiful and be beautiful. Beauty starts from within, and so you must do everything you can be to be healthy. And just because you're a little bit bigger than that skinny little person size 00 that you see up there on the magazines, and let me just tell you, they're even airbrushed smaller than they really are too, doesn't mean that you are not a beautiful divine being. So start treating yourself like a beautiful divine being. When I talk on shows, I like to tell women, be careful of everything you put in your body, and that includes men. And so more women need to. Dr. Fifi will help you feel good about yourself so that your energy gets to the point where what you're attracting are going to be the mates that you won't mind being on the inside, because they're going to be wonderful beings too. You have to be wonderful to attract wonderful, and that means from the inside. So Dr. Fifi Clark, parting words for the audience.
Well, I really, really encourage us as a society to stop accepting this body terrorism. You mentioned earlier that, it's self-inflicted, it's from society, and that this sort of idealized, commoditized image of beauty is just elusive to everyone. So 80% of women surveyed said that they have a problem with their body, and most of the women, there's nothing wrong with them, but they psychologically they think that there is, and so that's what body terrorism is. Terrorism is an attack on the psychology in order to inspire anxiety, and then someone else can take advantage of that anxiety, and of course anxiety and fear are correlates. And so if you fear that you're inadequate, you fear that there's something wrong with your body, you fear that your body is not good enough, then you tend to drop your standards as a woman and you accept what is unacceptable. And so I would just start with making the radical choice to like your body as it is. So in my work, I say there are two choices. You can like your body or you can learn to like your body. Hating your body is not an option.
Beautiful. Dr. Fifi Clark, ebooklifecoach.com. Thank you for being on Wellness for the Real World.
And thank you so much for having me.
Your conference recording has stopped.
Dr. Fifi, you're wonderful.
Oh, thank you. This is great. I love talking with you, and much success with everything you do. I love your talks, so thank you.
Much. And when we get this posted, we will send you a link. I know you write, and so I always love people to submit blogs to drveronica.com. So if you want to, please do and submit it, and I'll publicize it all over the place on my page with all those millions of Twitter followers, but thousands of Twitter followers, and inspire the conversation because we need to start talking about this more in a different way. However, I like to figure it out. Here's how we have to promote health. So let's promote health. That people need to start watching what they're putting in their body, and that means food and men.
Yeah, that's true.
So you have a happy holiday, and I will send this along, and when we're ready to put it up, we'll send you the link.
Okay, thank you. All right, you have a blessed holiday.